Welcome to Shaping the New York City Skyline, the podcast that explores the stories behind the buildings that shape our city. I'm your host, Brenda Slokowski, and I'm here with my co-host,
David Shamshovich.
Welcome, everyone, to Shaping the New York City Skyline. I'm your host, Brenda Slokowski.
And I'm David Shamshovich, and we're here for our bonus episode.
Woo!
Bonus episode. That's right. Is that the a Hi-Ho Silver song, or is that actually how you sing our intro?
Oh, no, that's not how I sing our intro, but I do sing that around the office pretty frequently.
Oh, that's like the 10-10 wins.
Right, exactly.
Oh, 10-10 wins. I
Sorry.
forgot about it. Do they still have that?
I have no idea. I don't listen to the radio. This is our bonus episode for recapping our time at the NYC conference.
Yeah, the annual Affordable Housing Conference.
You got a lot of free merch.
We got pens. We got
umbrellas, portable chargers. I got so many canvas totes.
I got basketballs for my kids, footballs. Yeah, the charger was actually really awesome. Was that CPC that was giving that charger?
I think so, yeah.
And DHCR had some nice bags too.
Yeah.
Those guys have really great swag. I got some really great notebooks too from Wells Fargo and TD.
They had some nice hard-covered notebooks like that.
Yeah, saved me $2-3 bucks. I don't want to say what the price point was, but it wasn't affordable exactly. It wasn't an affordable conference. It was just a conference about affordable housing.
Right, which was not affordable to attend.
Not affordable to attend. We had sponsors. Right. So that's how we attended.
And we showed up to the Times Square Marriott Marquis. It was a beautiful hotel conference area. Last time I was there, I saw the Jonas Brothers, so, equally exciting.
The conference was very well attended. We went to the pre-conference as well. Right. Which was...
Got some CLE credits for that. That was good.
I forgot to fill out my CLE. Thanks for reminding me.
The whole point.
I
wonder if there's a deadline for that. That leads us to what the NYC conference really focused on. There were a bunch of different breakout panels and seminars to attend, and we attended a few of them, but the ones that really stuck out to me were the intro of ceremony, let's go with, where we heard from Chief Housing Officer Jessica Katz.
Or almost former Chief Housing Officer Jessica Katz. It was interesting.
Oh, was she former?
Well, not yet. She's resigned. I think she's as of July.
Oh.
She's leaving.
Oh, wow. Really?
So, yeah, it was interesting to hear about, given that she seemed to really sort of be in it. She was the first Chief Housing Officer. It's a post that the mayor had established. It was a new post.
Right.
And she clearly was under a ton of pressure to try to deliver.
Well, she was trying to. It seemed like everything she talked about was her efforts to try and pass different affordable housing legislation at the state, and none of it seemed to be receptive by the legislature.
And none of it's receptive as of today's date. Now, there are a couple more days of session, but we don't really expect anything to happen. There were a lot of interesting things in terms of their frustrations. For some reason, I imagined that the government, or at least the agencies, were not as interested in 421A as the private developers are. But that's not the case. Maybe it's just my foolishness.
I had that impression as well. And then I heard from Jessica Katz and Ruth Ann Visnaskis, and it seems like these agencies are on board with some sort of additional incentive, given the fact that they can see that filings are down.
The filings are certainly down. That's something that they focused on because they know that building's not happening. But another interesting thing that they talked about and that they focused on during this intro was that they've been trying to convince the legislature, they've been trying to convince the people in Albany that 421A is a must because, yes, there are public funds for fully affordable buildings, but that's not sufficient to be able to produce mixed income buildings in high cost areas.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, we need to have partnerships with private developers. And there's no way to get around that. There's no way to meet the goals of housing without including both publicly funded and privately financed housing. They made it very clear that that's not going to happen. And to me, the most interesting argument that I had not heard before is they took the cries of gentrification, which I've heard for many, many years, and sort of flipped it on its head. So they're saying gentrification is not caused by high density buildings built in those areas that are being gentrified. Rather, gentrification is caused by the opposite, which is not having high density buildings in high-cost areas. In other words, if you have these buildings in these high-cost areas, those are the areas where people will flock to because of the additional housing, and the surrounding neighborhoods where people are sort of complaining about this will have the opposite effect. They'll remain with the characteristics of that neighborhood, which is what everybody is arguing about. And I thought it was an interesting, I don't know how convinced I am, and I don't know how correct it is, but one of the things they mentioned was the Soho rezoning, which is nothing's happening and you can't really do anything with that rezoning. And people are sort of flocking to other similar neighborhoods like in Brooklyn. Yeah. And that's actually causing more gentrification. That argument, they're saying at least, I don't have any specifics, but they're saying that argument is really holding water and really at least they're having some traction with that argument.
Yeah. I mean, I liked hearing about their priorities for what's coming. I heard them talk about not only a new tax abatement to replace 421A, but they were also focusing on a new J51 for existing buildings, or legalization of basement apartments, or the FAR cap, future office conversions. They have a multi-pronged plan. It's just a matter of getting this all passed and having it implemented so that gentrification is not a result and communities can stay the same. Tenants have more of an option of selecting where they do live, not just based on the rent levels, but also based on the community that they want to be in.
And you have mixed income buildings. I mean, don't you want mixed income buildings? That's sort of the entire point. And you can't do it all with public funding. Also, MIH is sort of useless.
Right.
Without 421A.
And the city knows that. It's just that the legislature won't engage. Another thing that they did discuss, we attended a panel called City of Yes. And David likes to call it the City of Hell Yes. Yes, now we're explicit in this episode. The City of Hell Yes, because they are proposing a significant zoning resolution text amendment, basically rolling back the red tape and allowing developers to build easily rather than going through such rigorous and onerous city regulations to get your property built. So reducing certain parking restrictions because we're in a transit zone. Everybody in New York City is mostly traveling by subway. And if we're trying to reduce environmental emissions and really combat climate change, that's another thing. Reducing your parking restrictions and your minimums. Fixing small areas of the zoning resolution to make it easier and more, let's go with sign of the times kind of thing, a Harry Styles reference for everybody out there.
I love the way you spin it, because when Brenda says "let's go with," it's going to be an interesting turn of phrase, right? Well,
because sometimes the proper turn of phrase just doesn't come to the tip of your tongue, and you're like, okay, we're gonna say what's on my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. All those things are the red tape that they want to get rid of.
Yeah,
and the thing is, they didn't really give us particulars, right? We have some of the proposed changes in connection with the carbon neutrality revisions to the zoning, but there are others that are coming out, I think, in the spring and fall that are going to come out for commentary. Hopefully I'm not stepping on my own toes and haven't seen those proposed language. Yeah, they're calling it getting stuff built, and their MO is to try to get stuff built. It's not there's no hiding. Let's make this thing faster. That's something I think we've all been saying, but I'm not sure I totally believe it.
Well, I'll tell you, Jessica Katz said something at the beginning where she said, building our way out of this is a myth. This is not something that's an option.
She said the opposite. She said, this is something we can actually build ourselves out of. Building is the solution. Because the whole point is, you can build yourself out of this, Brenda. Brenda's joking. She's so funny. We can build our way out of this, is the whole point. It's like, how do we solve the housing crisis? Building's not going to work.
Well, we do have to build it, but there are other avenues. It's a multi-pronged solution.
I agree. It's a multi-pronged solution. And one of those is ground-up building. So yes, we can definitely build our way out of this. We just have to have a faster path to building, which is the problem because of all the red tape, how long it takes to complete projects, to get permits, to get sign-offs. There's a lot of things that sort of are outdated in the zoning resolution.
Another panel that I attended was the leasing and homeless placements, where HPD and property management companies got up on a panel and discussed placing the affordable tenants into these units. So not only is the solution to build the housing, but you need to get tenants into those housing. And it is taking months to occupy these units, and developers are sitting with empty units that are not making money.
And people are remaining homeless and not occupying units that are ready for them to occupy.
That's the main concern, but... So they were telling us about different solutions that they want to have implemented in order to kind of streamline the housing lottery process and shorten the time span by which tenants get to take occupancy of these units and reduce the redundancy of paperwork that's being submitted. Because once your income is verified as an affordable tenant, you shouldn't have to verify that 8 different times throughout the process.
Yeah. And that happens because things get outdated by the time they reach the person they're supposed to reach. And then you're in the cycle of documents becoming outdated. And then eventually something happens to the tenant, they sort of...
Or if you're trying to qualify for one unit based on different HPD programs, there should be some sort of like war room where like multiple people get into a meeting from different agencies and say, okay, tenant A qualifies for our income. They qualify for your income. They qualify for X. They meet these criteria of the community board or the mobility impaired, something like that. They qualify across the board. Great. Let's move them in. You don't need multiple inspections by every agency if you're qualifying for different programs. There's a lot of redundancy in the system right now that they're trying to reduce. And hopefully those changes are going to be implemented over the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you make it easier to build, something they don't need the state legislature to do, and if you make it easier to rent the units, then more people will be housed more quickly. I think they're doing the right thing, sort of priming the climate, priming New York City for the receipt of it. But if you don't have the incentives in place, create that housing, no matter how much red tape you eliminate, I don't see how that gets built.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but that seems what's happening.
The financials need to work for anything to work. So
my wife says, you want us to work? Make the financials work.
I guess that works. Final recap. Final takeaways. What did you think of the conference? What was your main takeaway? What did you enjoy? And what did you wish that they did instead?
What do I wish that they did? That's a lot of questions. Can you start with number one?
One at a time. What did you enjoy most about the conference?
What did I enjoy most about the conference? I enjoyed your company the most.
Thanks, David.
I did like talking to various folks in the industry and hearing the perspectives of government was particularly interesting to me because I don't think I understood their perspective as well as I did after the conference.
Good. My favorite thing about the conference was the learning aspect. I'm always looking to expand my knowledge base, and sitting in these panels made me really excited about the field that I'm in, really validated my choices in life, and made me feel like a great attorney that I understood everything that was happening and I had my own opinions about it, which is very exciting.
Did you ask any questions?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I asked one at the housing and leasing one that you left.
No, I did not. I left that. I went to go to another panel that was very interesting.
We divided and conquered.
Yeah, we got you. But I did stay for a portion of that first one, which is very interesting. And the point of it was we need to get people in units more quickly.
Right. Okay. Next question.
Next question.
Main takeaway from the conference.
Main takeaway. There are lots and lots of things that need to happen for us to house people in the city, whether they're affordable or not. And there's some that we didn't talk about, like the mandates in the suburbs.
Right. That's true.
There's legalizing basements, single room occupancies that should come back. You know, J51, which was mentioned, where they're trying to bring that back, plus all the different exemptions that do exist, like Article 11, 420C.
Right.
And then, you know, sort of the guy we've been talking about all along, Mr. 421A. I think building housing was really sort of the takeaway, because that was what the conference is about.
Okay.
And yes, it was an affordable housing conference, but it was like, really, we need housing.
Right.
And the zoning text amendments are being proposed to make things easier. They're also anticipating the changes that are going to occur because of Local Law 97.
Right.
And then people need to understand sort of how these fully affordable projects are being funded, including ones that are for homeless tenants or former homeless tenants. And those are very interesting projects, and they're sort of unique in their own right. Each one of them seems to be a unique animal. And then, you know, sort of generally the state of housing, which is not great right now because of all the impediments and the infighting. But hopefully that'll probably get resolved. But the problem is how much pain
we're going to go through in the meantime.
How much pain is everybody going to go through in the meantime? I would predict a lot. And then once the pain is too much to bear, then you're going to see unions and you're going to see developers and you're going to see a lot of people complaining and shouting and screaming. And then I would say that something will have to be done. But right now there's not enough of it. And so likely not going to happen until next year. How about you? What's your main takeaway? Or did I just take every single answer? I just basically took the entire answer.
No, I actually have my own answer. But my main takeaway was I was optimistic. I enjoyed hearing the fact that the city understands that there is a problem, because my perspective beforehand was that we knew that there was a problem, but they weren't doing anything about it. Now I have the perspective that they know it's a problem and they're trying to do something about it. It's just the legislator upstate is not cooperating and not engaging.
Nope.
So it's promising, and it was heartening to hear that they understand the problem and they're pushing for a solution, because you just don't hear that perspective very often.
Well, yeah, government doesn't really, we deal with the agencies every day, but nobody's really sharing or feels like they're entitled to share.
It's nice to feel validated in your feelings.
I mean, not only that, but you have, powerful agencies and very loud voices in government that are trying to
do something.
Yeah, do something. So it's nice to have that backup, but so far it's not really done much.
Right. Okay. Last question. What do you want the conference to have next year? What do you feel the conference was missing this year?
I think that there were not enough private, market rate developers.
Interesting.
Maybe there were more. I don't recall seeing it on any panels. And I don't think that I had the invite list, but I don't think there were many. I can't recall many. I think there were probably maybe a handful.
It's a good point.
But, the agencies, the reps, they basically said, we need these relationships with private developers to build mixed income, because, in order to build these buildings and mixed income buildings in high cost areas, can't do it with public funding alone.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why there weren't more private developers on panels. And yes, it was called the Affordable Housing Conference, but if there is presumably a 421A, isn't everybody essentially become an affordable housing developer? Maybe they're not developing 100% affordable housing, but they're developing. But
you've got some affordability component, yeah.
Yes, but in years past, I think that's been the case. But I think next year, that's what I want to see. But it's called the Affordable Housing Conference. It's going to be hard to attract
private developers. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they see themselves as affordable housing developers. That's why.
That's fair.
How about you?
I wanted to be able to attend more panels than I had the opportunity to, because so many of them overlapped. I want them to space out the scheduling more.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. There were a few that's why I left midway.
Right. We had to divide and conquer because we wanted to listen to everything. But I would have loved to come to some of the other panels that were occurring while I was in a different panel.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. And maybe somebody listening and they'll
implement our changes.
Will you be attending next year?
I would love to attend next year. Yes.
I think so too. I will be in attendance next year, and if anybody wants to invite us on a panel, we could offer to do like a live version of our podcast on. That would be so cool.
Everybody would love our in-person banter.
I mean, are we bantering? I thought we were just talking.
Well, they both kind of overlap.
The talking and the banter?
Yes. Talking is a type of banter. Not all talking is banter, but all of our banter is talking.
I'm going to have to pick up a Webster's Dictionary after this and make sure. By Webster's Dictionary, I mean I'm going to have to Google it.
Anyway, everybody, thanks for listening to our ridiculousness.
Yeah. Everyone, thanks for joining us. We really did love the Affordable Housing Conference, and we're definitely planning on being there next year. We learned a ton, and we want to continue raising the right to build. Yeah. Let's build. City of hell yes.
City of hell yes.
That's right. Get stuff built.
Well, everyone, that's our show. Thanks so much for listening.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave comments, because we love to hear from our audience, right, Brenda?
Yeah. Feel free to reach out at info@sideandshine.com or visit our website at sideandshine.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.
You could also reach out to David and Brenda at dshamshovich@sideandshine.com and Brenda Slakowski at sideandshine.com.
You want to spell that?
B. Slakowski at sideandshine.com.
Those are lengthy last names. You can just find us on our website.
That's right.